Yeah, actually, to prepare ourselves for this panel, not discussion, panel, we had a little chat last night, and it actually was a pity because that conversation should have been recorded and just played, you know, because it was really good, and so we're trying to keep it light and try to have not the same conversation as yesterday, but at least a conversation, and not just giving our ideas that we already discussed yesterday. So we have the topic of how to build a brand that customers love and competitors envy. And just for starters, and just to be a little bit, just to come into the discussion, I'm just going to ask you, Gregory, what brands do you love? Let's talk about love.
Okay, oh, thank you. Is okay? So what brand that I love? I would like to say Salomon. I don't know if you know Salomon. It's a French brand specialized in sport and outdoor products, all mountain stuff, you know. If you want to ask me why I love the brand, maybe it's the...
That's a good follow-up question,
yeah,
yes.
I think it's the most important. Why I like Salomon? Because, you know, it's kind of part of me. I'm connected with this brand. I do running, I do skiing. I grew up in the mountain with this brand, and I'm quite sure that when I'm wearing this brand, I can express myself with this brand. So that's why, for me, this connection is love, and that's why I love the brand.
Rose, what about you? What brands do you love? You don't have a mic? Okay.
I guess because we're the last people here, probably that's why the mics are limited.
Okay.
But
also the time. We only got 20 minutes.
Right. I took some time last night to think about the brands that I love, and then I forgot to think about it. And now that you asked me, the brand that pops up right now is Jo Malone, if you know that. It's a British brand on fragrance and all of those. Very high class, fancy, elegant. At the same time, so simple, so flat. Which is probably what I could associate with. Yeah.
Muntasir, what brands do you love? Or what brand? And why is the follow-up? So keep that in mind.
So the brands, you are discussing that, like, you know, probably you love a brand and you haven't used yet. So it's like, I love Ferrari, but I haven't used it. But really, really love it. Really love the speed. Really love all the glamour, which I'm not. but I do love that. Yeah.
So, what about you?
Well, as someone who has really aligned his life and mission and purpose to promoting India and Indian culture, I really love, you know, brands who inculcate our ways, Indian culture in their messaging, in their visual storytelling. So that's really what I love. And there are a number of new brands that are coming out, and they're doing great work across the globe. So I love them.
Perfect. I'm just gonna do mine. It's still Porsche, so nothing changed until yesterday. So the German car manufacturer, and just because of the German minimal design, I don't know, just had childhood memories with it. Not that I own one yet. Yeah, thank you very much. But we talk about love in our brands, how we love brands, but we thought about it and think we should define that love. So, Gregory, you're a psychologist by day, an agency owner by night. So, what is love? Baby, don't hurt me. That was also set up by myself. Sorry for that. And just
Thank you. Yeah, I like the analogy about brand love and love, human loves. That's really good. And I I see your, your smile on the face, and you think about. You have the song in your mind now. I'm quite sure that 80% of the audience has the same song in your mind. Maybe you can just test and sing. We can try.
Good idea, but I learned yesterday in a keynote that
Yeah.
sometimes TikTok dances are cringy, and I don't want to go there.
Okay, I can try. If I say, "What is love?"
There you go.
Yeah, it's great.
You got your concert. Now answer the question. What is love, Gregory?
Yeah, I know. We have just 15 minutes. What is love? We're just sharing now a moment, a special moment. We love because we just sung together. And maybe love is this connection, is the special moment. In psychology, we define love as a connection between myself and an identity of another one, okay, of someone else. It's the connection. I love someone because I am connected with her or with him. And this connection, we're sharing values, we're sharing interests, and that's this connection. And I'm quite sure that love is, first of all, a connection. And if you ask me what the analogy is, brand love is, for me, self-brand connection. A connection between a self, the customer self, and the identity of the brand. And you can make the connection. And after, if you are connected with the brand, you are more involved, you're more committed, more loyal. So you have a lot of love behaviors to the brand.
Just a quick question for the organizers. Is it really true that we just have 13 minutes? Because we planned it a little bit different. If we can do it? Okay. Then I would actually have a little bit of conversation about the difference between that love you described and brand love. So what is brand love for everybody? Anish, what is brand love for you?
Brand love. Okay, so I think that as a person, like, of course, love is really personal to everyone. And after our chat last night, I couldn't sleep. It was a question that was bothering me. But I think everyone is somewhere and they want to go somewhere. Everyone has a better version of themselves in their heads. So if your brand, if becoming your customer takes you a little bit closer to that, then you will really fall in love with that brand. And and it needs to, your brand messaging needs to align to these people's goal, to your audience's goals. What do they desire to be? That needs to be there in that brand.
We've already had a heated discussion, and I'm sure we're not quite getting as heated as yesterday. But Muntasir, you talked a little bit about yesterday, but for you, what is brand love? What are the pillars of brand love?
So I can go theoretically, but I would like to, from my experience, for the whole my career, I've been helping brands with communications and everything. And then from last 2 years, I've been trying to build my own brand. And while we were doing so, because of the experience and the thought of how brand can be connected more, how brand can sustain, how brand can have that connection with the consumers, I found out that the brands, it doesn't have to be all brands, but the brands that I am developing, we found out that we need the brand to be human, we need a purpose to be built around the brand, and that will eventually drive the brand to instill that connection with consumers. So from our experience, I'm developing a brand that is an online grocery, which is a very normal, regular day-to-day activity, and there are large competitors in our market. And then when we were developing, we were actually thinking of some also sustainable solution, because just a brand and just selling what everyone's selling might not get us in with and might not help us to have that connection with our consumers. So what we came up with is that grocery is something that every time, like in our daily life, it's a regular thing that we do. And through grocery, most of the plastics come to our house. At an individual level, the plastic consumptions are mostly dependent on the groceries that we use. So when I'm selling the grocery, we gave them an idea that, okay, why don't you give us the plastics back, and we will recycle it. We will make reusable products with the plastics. And in return, you get rewards and you get discounts on your next purchase. So we have built it around the brand with a purpose. And we have seen that there's a 42% repeat customers, which is pretty good number for e-commerce facility. And it's very new, but it will take time. But I believed that with that connection, with purpose, and being human, can actually help a brand to have that connection where consumers will love it.
Yeah. The second question of the panel is also how other brands envy your brand or competitors envy your brand. So, Rose, for you personally, in your experience, what is the difference between that love and envy part of brands?
Okay, so first I wanted to give a short version of the answers. I think first we need to look at the correlation between love and envy. What's the relationship? You can build a brand that someone loves or people love, that's fine. But if you build a brand that someone loves and people envy you too, that's another level, that's another story. So what happens there is that if you are loved, it doesn't mean that you are envied. But if you are loved so much that it feels like the love is so scarce for the rest of the brands, then you are envied by those brands. And what happens there, because to build a brand that someone or the consumers love is kind of like already a difficult level. But to build a brand that people love, and also all the competitors ran screaming and thinking that I also offer the same thing, I have the same values to my customers, why are they loving you more? So I think the relationship there is that you're already reaching to another level of building brand love and also loyalty, and at the same time, you reach a threshold of beating your competitors up in the market. So in order to get there, you need more than just being yourself to be loved by the consumers. You also need to beat the love of everyone else as well.
That's a great insight, and do you want to add? Yeah, do add.
So like adding
Everyone
to that,
can just talk if you have a mic.
So talking about envy, I would say that if as a brand CXO or a branding manager, whatever, if you envy a brand, it really says a lot about you as a brand. Maybe you know that where you lack. Maybe you know why the other brand is better than you. So I always suggest that look at your own brand, what's the difference, and if you envy, you really have to maybe re-strategize something in your own brand.
We want to get on with the conversation about how to build that. So before we do that, we do have one thing planned, and that's just for having common ground on one thing, because we need a definition to then go on and talk about how to build a brand that is loved. And so, Gregory, please enlighten us. A definition, what is brand love? Not only in your opinion, but in your professional expertise.
Yeah, thank you, Peter. Just maybe to explain, I had a researcher experience before, a PhD in marketing and consumer psychology, and we do work on brand love. We have a scale, we can measure the brand love, and we have a definition about that. We used to say that brand love is two kind of stuff. It's first time the prominence of the brand. So if you have to define the prominence of the brand is the top of mind of the brand in your mind, in your head. That's the first one. But the second one is the most important. That's why I talking about the self-brand connection before. The self-brand connection is the connection, the emotional connection, emotionally attachment to the brand, and that's the most important, the connection between the brand, the identity and the brand, and yourself. There is a researcher, an American one, maybe one of the most famous researchers in marketing and in consumer psychology. His name is Russell Belk. I don't know if you know Russell Belk. Russell Belk say, we have what we had. We are what we have. He's talking about extended self, and a brand is an extended self. Brand are values, and when you buy a brand, when you use a brand, you build a brand. You build your identity with the value of the brand, and you express yourself with this brand, and that's the definition of brand love. You are connected to the brand, and you can build your identity with this brand, with the value of the brand, and express yourself to the brand.
Perfect. So that still is a little bit meta, I would say, not really actionable. So we now tap into the waters of how to achieve that, how to build that, and not just the meta version, but the day-to-day. We're all brand builders in some way or form. So, Rose, how do you build a brand? And be very specific. Short, but very specific.
Okay. Feel very confined here.
Great.
Yeah, so the most specific thing I can answer about this question is also the most generic, which I think probably everyone always forgets. We talk a lot about tech. We talk a lot about all these media, all these things that we could do to build a brand, but we forgot that marketing is actually science, and it starts from step one, which is actually how do you communicate your brand identity to anyone? You can start from the first day, having a business, having a brand, having a name, and you start selling, you start saying good things about yourself, and then you start selling right away, but you forgot that what is the communication strategy that you use to communicate your identity or your values to all these people? Why do they have to feel that they are related to you? Why do they feel that they need to purchase you? For example, if your name is Peter, like who are you? Because there's so many Peter in the world, right? And I know a lot of Peters, including the ones that starred in Spider-Man. So who are you? It actually, right? So I need to know this, and same for brand. You need to be able to communicate that kind of identity to everyone in a very specific sense, because you might be Peter, but you're a different type of unique kind of Peter. So how do you sell yourself? And then right from there, you can start by strategizing all of those into actionable plans. Because you might say that in order to sell well, in order to build your brand love, in order to build this kind of identity, you could just start by doing some promotions. You could start by, appearing in events, all of those. Those are just byproducts of the executions that you thought you have. But actually, where is your direction after all? Where do you see yourself in the next 2 to 5 years? Where do you see your profit coming? Where is it from? So start by doing a very high-level strategy of where your brand is going. And then from those strategies, apply all of these things into planning. And planning could come in a lot of things, right? Plans come in media plans, digital plan, brand plans, all of those plans that would actually be applied from that very same strategy that you took in the long term. And then along the way, I talked to Peter yesterday, I talked to you yesterday as well about that. So the strategy is like a fairy godmother. It sticks with you the whole time, and then you keep improving it from time to time until you reach a point where you are recognized by all your consumers and loved by your consumers and automatically considered and repeated by your consumers for the longest time. So I think that's probably the foundation of where to build your brand love. Have a strategy over there, apply it and adopt it in all of your actions across all the lines of your brand. Anything that you do must be, let's say, aligning with what you said from the beginning, because otherwise I'm confused, because today you might be Peter A, tomorrow you might be Peter B, and I feel so inconsistent about you that I don't have to repeat my purchase. So I think that's probably how I put it. Yeah.
But I'm collecting nicknames, so maybe that's... All right, yeah, and I really like the ferry example, and I will steal that just to say it out loud. So whenever you hear me talk about that, copyright by Rose. But having that Navy background, that just resonates with me, that your brand is a ship, and that you have to build a good ship in order to also go to the high seas that you've never been before, and even if the weather is bad, you have to have a good ship. And of course, it's easy to build quickly something that floats on water and tell everyone about it. But if there is a storm and you're just on a, I don't know, let's take the Titanic example, on a door, you won't survive. If you're on a big ship that just weathers out everything, you're good for the long term, and you're playing the infinite game of being a brand and not just building a brand and then losing it all. So, Muntasir, I'm really curious. You said you're building your brand, it's relatively new. You talked about purpose. How do you go there? I mean, we now know it's important, okay, but how?
So one thing I believe that there's one of the sessions they were also discussing this. When you're building a brand, two things, are you solving a problem? So that is very important. So that actually helps consumer to connect. So if you are solving a problem, if you are giving a solution, that helps. And also if you can identify that you envy something to another brand, that is also good. Good in a way to identify what you have, what they have that you don't have, right? So that can be something where you can pick up and try to build on that what they're doing right, that connecting the consumers, and we are not, or if it's a new brand, what are the things that I have to do right that will connect me? And as we were discussing yesterday also, that the basics has to be there. The basics has to be right. How you position your brand, do you understand your target audience or not? And if you are solving a problem, was this a real problem or it was just there, it was not that important? So if there was a problem that you are giving a solution and you are connecting to the consumers, and then you are consistent with your offerings and with your promise, that will help you to connect with the consumers very well. And then eventually, I would not say that the consumer love will develop very soon, or just, first, as we are also discussing, the love at first sight. That can happen sometimes, but to have a sustained experience, to have a sustained love affair, you might need to tick all the boxes and consistently doing so.
Exactly, we had one metaphor where it was like, you wouldn't go to a person and just ask them to marry you, would you? That's branding. So you don't go for the ask right away. You don't go to the mall and say, hey, nice to meet you, want to marry me? You don't do that. And that's why I think marketing sometimes gets a little bit too pushy. And especially, I don't know if you noticed, but on LinkedIn, that's just a really problem right now, that everyone is just cold messaging everyone. So Anish, what are your thoughts about brand love and building the brand?
That does happen in India, where your parents will just go to your girl's parents and
Good point.
marry.
Does it work? Still does.
With the most populous country in the world, so I guess it does.
The outcome is there.
I guess so.
Depends on how you define success, yeah.
So,
I think not just India, I saw a lot on reality shows.
yeah. So, as far as brand love is concerned, talking from the Indian D2C perspective, where we had 400 million people make purchases worth $6 billion in 1 year. If you want to become a brand that goes from 1 million to $500 million, it's
Small
a very
step.
it's a very straightforward strategy, I think. Take all your marketing budget and give 20% to a branding team. The team has to be people who are emotional, people who know how to talk to people and get insights without asking direct questions. Get people to share their stories. So you can maybe have a psychologist in the team, maybe a good design thinker on the team, and let those people do the branding work. Don't talk to them about sales. Don't talk to them about revenue. Leave it for the marketing and the sales teams. So let those people interview, talk to thousands of people. You need to understand how your audiences behave. What are their desires? What are their likes? What are their dislikes? Once you have all that data, you can really inculcate that into your messaging, into your branding strategy. And if you do that consistently enough and long enough, people will start loving you as a brand.
Perfect. Time's nearly up, but I want to do, before we get a quick Q&A in, Gregory, the first question you ask your new clients when it comes to building the brand, what would it be? So what is the first question that pops to mind that is so important for you in order to build a brand that people love?
Oh, my first question is, what's your why? Why you develop this brand? It's important for me because we spoke about love, but we don't spoke about passion. And for me, it's not the same, but we're building the same emotion. And if you know what is your why, what is the why, like Simon Sinek why, you know, your purpose, you will be a passion manager, you will be a passion CEO, and you will just share your passion. And if you share your passion, you will share emotion. And if you share emotion, so the humans just in front of this brand will just receive this emotion and creating love. So maybe the first question I ask is, what's your why?
Perfect. Would be the exact same answer here. So that's good for that. So start with why. Copyright by Simon Sinek. Start with why. Build a long-lasting ship. And if you need help, maybe you should go for a pilot. That would be agencies like we have. Q&A.
And we love you.
And yeah, exactly.
Of course.
Yeah, and love comes then. Or you know, you have brand parents that do it for you. I mean,
I can be that parent.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
Hire me.
If we have 5 minutes, we could talk for hours. We literally did yesterday, so...
Hello.
Oh.
Hi, good afternoon. Yes. Hi, my name is Ardel. Nice meeting you all, and really grateful to hear all your insight. This is not a question, but this is just like, you know, an addition of something. Because earlier, when you sat down there, the first question that you guys asked, what is love? You know? We have a concert. All right. So for me, this is the answer of that. Love is, I wrote it, so I will remember. Okay. Love is a description of a certain emotion the human labeled long time ago. All right? So loving a brand is more likely something that gives the emotional satisfaction of the consumer. All right. It was mentioned earlier that you want to be successful in what you do, the brand that we are carrying with, you should be able to solve a problem, as you mentioned, sir. It's all about problem solving. And all we know, human is built with, you know, we are emotional being. A consumer will love a brand if there's emotional need are being addressed and satisfied with. That's for me. You know, if you notice in the market, it doesn't matter how expensive a brand is, but it is about how these companies make those consumers feel, you know, the satisfaction, I mean, the emotional needs that we give to our consumers. That's how we can get this one is loyalty. You know, it's the emotion is there. Thank you so much.
On point, but Gregory.
Yeah, sorry, can I answer? Yeah, just 2 minutes. You speak about satisfaction, loyalty, and emotion. I would like just to separate something. about that. In brain, we have two parts of the brain. We have a cold cognitive part, and we have a warm affective part. If I just want to separate and divide the both, let me just explain a few seconds the both. In the cognitive part, we have satisfaction. I'm satisfied about the brand, and I will just have a good opinion of the brand. I'm sorry for my English, maybe my French accent betray me. So I'm satisfied about the brand. I have a good opinion about the brand. Maybe I trust on the brand, and after I will buy it. But that's all. You can just buy it. We can't speak about loyalty in the cold cognitive brain because it's not the strength of this consumer behavior is not enough. We just buy it, and after we take another time. In the affective brain, oh my God, you will you are connected to the brand, and you have emotion to the brand, so you will just generate love consumers or love behaviors. And will create loyalty, commitment, and all of this kind of consumers' behaviors. So it's not really the same for me, and you have to go in the affective brain. Maybe I can just explain with an example from yesterday. Yesterday, I don't know if I see the person here, but yes, I saw her. Sorry, yesterday you asked a question to Kale. I don't know if you see me. You ask, yeah, just in front of you. You ask a question for to Kale, and you say, "Oh, I've got a problem in LinkedIn. When I post content about my expertise, I have less impactful than a post about my private life, right?" Maybe I have an answer for you. Is this division of the brain? If you speak about your expertise, I will like it. I will have a good opinion about you. I will trust on you, and that's all. But if you speak about your private life, you speak about your identity. You will speak about your values, and I will like it, and I will love it, and I will share it, and I will express my feelings about your feelings. So, it's really different, and I think that loyalty is a really warm, affective consumer behavior, and it's different from satisfaction.
Perfect.
I would say that don't just stop at satisfaction. You have to delight the customer. That is when love will happen. Like I would say, be omnipresent, be everywhere, and just have a lot of customer touch points where the customer can interact with your brand. Not just buy from you, but just interact you in some other way. And that, I think, like in India, a lot of brands just stop at satisfying the customer. Where is the delight?
Yeah, for just to end it there, because like the big screen says, time's up. Ask yourself, how do others love you like a real person? Because building a brand is not completely different to being human. So what would you do if you were the brand? And do that. My last words. Thank you very much.